Welcome back to PMP Exam Mindset. This is where we take a look at all the tasks for the PMP exam and get a better understanding of what is required. Today, the quote is from great jazz musician Duke Ellington. He said, "A problem is a chance for you to do your best." And our view on the PMP exam is no different in task 15 under the process domain. It says manage project issues. The part of our book, PMP Exam Immersion, covers this, and it discusses strategies for identifying, tracking, and resolving issues that arise during the project lifecycle, ensuring that they do not derail project progress. And there's a method to the madness for this. Before you tackle any problem, make sure you're defining the problem in clear terms. Secondly, you are identifying the root cause of the problem, and then you're generating alternatives. Before you choose the best alternative, you implement the alternative and you verify that it actually worked. And this is also a book that I wrote called DIGCIV, DIGCIV, that shows you how to resolve issues and problems. You can go to digciv.com to check this out. In the world of Agile, issue management is proactive and collaborative. It involves the entire team identifying and resolving issues quickly to minimize their impact on the project. Regular retrospectives are used to learn from issues and prevent future occurrences. Let's go to our true or false for the day. Number 1, true or false. Issues in Agile projects are only addressed at the end of each sprint. Well, the answer to this is false. Issues in Agile projects should be addressed as soon as they are identified to minimize their impact. While retrospectives are used to discuss recurring issues and systemic problems, immediate blockers are typically raised and resolved during daily stand-ups or as soon as they appear. And that's why you hear the term impediments, obstacles, and blockers being used as opposed to the word issues, but it's the same thing. Number 2, in Agile, the entire team is involved in issue management. Believe it or not, this is true. In Agile, issue management is a collaborative effort involving the entire team. Team members are encouraged to identify, raise, and contribute to the resolution of issues, fostering shared ownership and quicker problem solving. Number 3, true or false? Proactive issue management is not necessary in Agile methodologies. You already know that proactivity is relevant everywhere, so that is false. Proactive issue management is highly valued in Agile. By continuously monitoring and anticipating potential problems and addressing them early, the Agile team can prevent minor issues from escalating into major impediments, maintaining flow and efficiency. Number 4, true or false? Learning from past issues is a key component of Agile issue management. And of course, it's a common sense question, so the answer is true. Learning from past issues is a fundamental aspect of Agile issue management, primarily through retrospectives. Teams reflect on resolved issues to understand their root causes, implement preventive measures, and continuously improve their processes. Finally, true or false? Regular retrospectives do not contribute to issue management in Agile projects. And that, of course, is a big fat lie. It's false. Regular retros are indeed vital for issue management in Agile. They provide a dedicated forum for the team to discuss issues encountered, to identify patterns, and agree on actionable improvements to prevent similar issues in future sprints, thereby enhancing overall project health. On a high visibility highway expansion, excavation exposes unstable soil, stopping 2 critical path activities. The risk was in the register. Executives want an immediate recovery plan. What should the project manager do next? Is it A, convene with the project team, project engineers, and external contractors to decide how to best stabilize the soil and proceed, then record the relevant project action taken for traceability? Or is it B, log the realized risk as an issue, convene geotechnical experts and key stakeholders to evaluate feasible corrective actions and assess schedule or cost recovery options before committing? Is it C, notify project stakeholders and company executives now and request emergency funds to secure a specialist stabilization vendor so project field work can resume as quickly as possible to avoid further delay? Or is it D, rebaseline the project schedule and cost as needed to reflect current stoppage, circulate a client communication explaining the delay, and address technical options in the next governance review? I'll give you time to think about the possible answer. All right, let's take a look at the answers. And if you need more time, you can hit the pause button at this point. Let's start from the bottom up this time. It's a good practice sometimes for those who are hasty to get through A to D to start from D and go up. So, D, rebaseline the project schedule and cost as needed. Now, while this is not a bad thing to do, it's not your first go to because you need to understand what exactly you are rebaselining. You may or may not need to rebaseline schedule and cost to a certain degree. You need to understand if at all you need to rebaseline anything and the degree to which you do. So that should come first, not option D. Let's look at C. Notify project stakeholders and company executives now and request emergency funds. Now, that's not a bad thing to do if indeed you understand what kind of emergency funds, if any, you need. Talking about a stabilization vendor right off the bat without effective assessment of the problem is not the way to proceed. Remember Dixiv, define the problem and identify the root cause. Then you generate alternatives. You don't prescribe alternatives before you work on identifying and generating them sensibly with the team. So while C is not a bad thing to do, it is also premature at this point. Think about it. The problem is you have exposed unstable soil. The logical thing to do is to ask, why did this happen? What is the remedy? You got to define the problem, identify the root cause for that unstable soil. And until you've done that, you shouldn't do C or D. Let's go to B. Log the realized risk as an issue. Convene geotechnical experts and key stakeholders to evaluate feasible corrective actions and assess schedule or cost recovery options before committing. Now that sounds like a wise thing to do because you're not prescribing the solution before assessing what the problem is. Let's take a look at A. Convene with the project team, project engineers, and external contractors to decide how to best stabilize the soil and then proceed. Record the relevant project action taken for traceability. Now, while stabilizing the soil is not a bad thing to do, you are prescribing how to best stabilize the soil without really identifying other factors involved. A and B are very similar, but B takes a few extra steps. It logs the risk as an issue, which A does not do. It also brings in the similar people, stakeholders, but it is to evaluate feasible corrective actions. Corrective actions do not just involve the stabilization of soil, but it will also involve schedule, cost, quality, risk, procurement, and everything else. Then you assess the schedule and the cost recovery options. before committing. A is presumptuous. B is cautious, and it's pragmatic, like a project manager should do. So while it's not a bad thing to say, how do we fix this thing? They're missing a key step, and it's identifying what is the reason for this and what are the possible spectrums of actions, not just choosing one action, but looking at all the actions involved. Because many a time you see an issue, there could be several consequences, and all those need to be explored. It's very subtle, but this is the difference between a right and a wrong answer on the PMP exam. And I'm hoping this gives you clarity to slow down while being as expedient as possible and ask, what is the root cause? What are the potential cascading effects of this risk on the project? Let's move into our PMP exam content outline rationalization. This is a very big topic, so I'm going to have to blow it out in a big way for you today. The first thing you do when you imagine project issues is you got to recognize when a risk in your risk register becomes an issue. Other times, an issue comes out of left field, you didn't see it coming. The next thing is you need to attack the issue with the optimal action to achieve project success. But there are a few interim steps that are not talked about here, and that is defining the problem or the issue and identifying the root cause, then generating alternatives before you choose the best alternative, which is what the second bullet is. Attack the issue means you've chosen that alternative and that's your weapon to attack it. The third bullet states, collaborate with relevant stakeholders on the approach to resolve the issue. So that will be generating alternatives and choosing the best alternative, which was part of the question that we looked at. So at this point, let's go into a deeper dive on day 29, which is a very, very important task because your exam, when you look at the thesis of the PMP exam, it's all about solving problems. That's the crux of the exam. So let's spend some time and get better understanding here. Let's jump straight in. Today we're talking about manage project issues. Now this is one of the most important tasks on the exam because any knowledge area could present an issue. Remember, it's all about issues. Multi-stacked issues and problems could appear on the exam. In other words, you could have a question that has issues from a number of knowledge areas. You could have an issue that is risk related, an issue that is scope and schedule related. In other words, an issue was the result of a risk that materialized from the scope, schedule, and cost areas, and it also has resources associated with it. You see how you can have multi-stacked issues, so there's a lot of stuff you need to know. An issue is also called an impediment in the Agile world. So you need to see this as a possible 90 to 99, in my mind, % of your exam. Your exam is going to have a ton of situational issues, risks, or associated topics. Now let's talk about an issue. What is an issue? Throughout the life cycle of a project, the project manager will normally face problems, gaps, inconsistencies, or conflicts that occur unexpectedly, and that requires some action so they do not impact project performance. This is how you need to see an issue. It is a problem, it is an inconsistency, it is something that appears unexpectedly, but the key thing about an issue is it is happening now. The issue log is a project document where all the issues are recorded and tracked. The issues could be tracked using the issue type, who raised the issue and when, the description of the issue, the priority, who is assigned the issue, and a target resolution date. And of course, a final solution. We also track status all throughout. So the issue log helps the project manager to effectively track these issues, ensuring that they're investigated and resolved in a timely fashion. It is created for the first time as an output of this process called direct and manage project work. Although issues could happen at any time during the project, the issue log is updated as a result of the monitoring and control activities throughout the project's lifecycle. And you got to see problem solving or issue resolution through the PMP exam lens as a way of you passing the exam. Because if you're able to think about how to solve the issue or problem presented in the question, you're going to be good. You see, problem solving entails finding solutions for issues or challenges, just like your exam. Your exam is going to present issues or challenges that are situational. So knowing about issue resolution today is extremely important. It can include gathering additional information, critical thinking, creative, quantitative, or logical approaches. Effective and systemic problem solving is a fundamental element in quality assurance and quality improvement. And that's why you find problem solving in 8.2 in managed quality. Problems can arise as a result of the control quality process or from quality audits and can be associated with a process or deliverable. Using a structured problem-solving method will help eliminate the problem and develop a long-lasting solution. So we got to go deep right now. We got to go deep into what exactly happens when you solve a problem in a very broad sense. So let's take a look. 1, you got to define the problem. 2, you got to document what that thing is. The issue or problem needs to be documented in the issue log. Work performance data may be collected to solve the problem. Work performance data needs to be analyzed to solve the problem, and we identify the root cause as a result of the data we've generated. Work performance information is generated to help us solve the problem. Work performance reports are also generated, and this could in turn help us understand that there are problems and help us to solve the problem. Then we generate alternatives, we choose the best alternative, and we implement the alternative. And ultimately, we're going to ask the question, was the solution effective? It's a yes. Then we have a final solution. If it's a no, then we go back to the beginning. So we have this cycle of life happening at any point in time, from steps 1 through 12. But you as a project manager, your job is to ensure that everyone who is part of this is talking. There needs to be collaboration. This is not a lone project manager trying to solve a problem. All right, so the concept of issue resolution, as I said, is going to pervade your exam. It's going to be big. I hope this allows you to see everything in context about managing project issues. Your exam is really a problem-solving expedition. And when you apply the understanding of DigSiv to your actual exam, when you come across each question, you will be able to see it from a different light. Have I really defined a problem before I choose the option? The question said, you're a project manager and you're running late. What should you do? A, fast track. B, crash. C, do a lessons learned. And D, do a root cause analysis. Well, the answer will be do a root cause analysis, because it's presumptuous to choose crashing or fast tracking without doing the DigSiv, right? Define, identify, generate, and choose. So you don't jump to choose without doing your root cause analysis. You also don't do a lessons learned without going through the process, and then you get your lessons learned after you implement whatever action you're taking. So you must apply this mindedness, my friends, to your exam. I wish you all the very best. If you've enjoyed today's session, smash that like button for me, subscribe, and remember, we also have at Project Leadership Institute, a sister channel that caters to your needs after the PMP exam. You want to check that out. See you in the next episode. Bye for now.